Good morning. I hope you will take this moment as you've quieted down to greet the people near you and their inherent worth and dignity. Welcome. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalists of Transylvania County. I see a lot of our returning faces, folks who have returned from travels, folks who have returned from having COVID, folks who have been around all the time. I'm glad to see you here. And if you are visiting here for the enjoyment of finding out what we're about, we are so glad you're here. Thank you for showing up today. And we hope that you come to get to know us better. I have a few announcements, a handful of announcements actually. One that is close to my heart is the Mountain Retreat, UUTC's annual retreat at the Mountain Camp and Conference Center, which we last year switched to Columbus Day weekend, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So you come in from Sunday dinner to Tuesday lunch. This allows those of you who always tell me, oh, I would go to the retreat except that my quilting circle is always on Saturdays, or my music tickets are always on Sundays, or whatever it may be. So if we start Sunday night, you can get to Highlands and up Little Mount Scaly, and you can come Sunday night, all day Monday, which is a national holiday, and that might allow some kids to be coming with families, right? And then Tuesday through lunch. And if you have to cut it short, that's fine. We just received the electronic link for registration. And so you may be able to go online to the mountain and see it now as well, but we'll make sure we send it out this week. And I'm told that there might be another option available. How many of you like tent camping? I'm talking to the wrong audience for tent camping. Well, if you happen to know someone who likes to lie on the ground in a tent in October, let them know the mountain is experimenting with a lower cost option in which you get to be in your unheated tent instead of a heated cabin or the lodge. So, yeah. A reminder to those who signed up today, the CPR class is today. So if you're signed up, this is the day. Don't miss it because we want you to get your training. Wonderful Wednesday coming up. It's time. It's time. And if you haven't already signed up on Realm, sign up at the counter today so we have a count for dinner. If you're not having dinner first, it's fine. Just show up at 6:30 instead of 5:30 so you can have the presentation, which is Embracing the Interdependent Web, a Perspective on Norwegian Culture and Fulbright Exchange by Mark and Betsy Burrows. And so it will be very interesting. I signed up. Let's see, a week from today, next Sunday, August 17th at 3:30 in the afternoon at St. Philip's Episcopal Church will be the 6th talk in the series on explorations in Jewish history and culture. The speaker this time is Professor Craig Perry of Emory University, a distinguished member of both the Department of Middle Eastern and Southern Asian Studies and the Tam Institute for Jewish Studies. He's co-editor of the second volume of the prestigious Cambridge World History of Slavery, covering the years 500 to 1420 BCE. His topic is The Living Sea Scrolls, New Histories of Jewish-Muslim Relations from the Middle Ages. So it draws on breathtaking research. I could go on and on and on, but it's in turn suggesting hopeful ways for managing an alternative shared future. something that we're all concerned about. So UUTC is a co-sponsor of this lecture series. So we always see a lot of UUTC folks for these, and I hope you'll be there next Sunday. The LGBTQ action team of the NAACP meets every first Wednesday here at UUTC at 6 p.m. They were right here in the social hall. I dropped in on the meeting briefly this past week and saw a couple of UUTC folks there in attendance. If you are interested, see the poster and the list that you can sign up as an ally on their list. It's on the counter as well. Jeannie Bernard leads the Wacky Women's Art Circle. It will be coming up in September, and you say, Reverend Bob, September is so far away, I can't think of it. Except there's only 7 spaces available for the Wacky Women's Art Circle in any given month, and 3 of the 7 spaces are already taken at this point, a month out. So the sign-up sheet is on the counter. I will not dock you any religious points if you run out and go and sign and then come back in again during one of the hymns or the collection or something like that. I know how popular it is. Those are just some of the announcements. There's a whole lot going on in this congregation, and you can read about it in the update. You can see things posted to our Facebook page, and you can ask around to each other, knowing what's really great to connect with one another in this place. Thank you. We will now enter into the wonder of worship together through the music of John Austin.
Thank you, John. I'm Ian Cowie, the worship associate today. Our chalice lighting this morning comes by way of a UU congregation that strives to embrace the value of human expression with stories, sermons, music, and art. The words, which we will read together, come from a young member of the First Parish UU congregation in Bedford, Massachusetts. Let's begin. This light unites us. This light unites us with our neighbors, our friends, our enemies. Most importantly, this light unites us within ourselves. Our hearts, our souls, our spirits. This light unites us.
Before we start the lighting of the candles, one of the things that happened in this month's retreat with the worship team was a suggestion that maybe we modify again how we do the prayerful lighting of candles, that maybe we include it in the prayers itself. And I said, oh, no changes in August. Got to give people time to think about this. So you can all panic and say, oh, I don't know if I want it in the prayers. I think I want it the way it is. And you can talk to us, and then you can adjust to the idea, and we'll talk it through at the next worship team meeting. Now that I've all upset you all, we will enter into our time of joys and sorrows. I'd like to light a candle for David Blackwell, who will be having surgery at the end of the month. It was postponed from about a month ago and may be postponed again, but we're sending love and prayers towards David. Candle as well for Tara McDonald, candle to send our love and support through tough times for her family. We also had some things that were handed in. A candle for families that are going through stresses for them and their children. A candle of prayer for the Palestinians and a hope that peace may come. And a request to light a candle for Mary Maxwell, who is now in Florida and facing serious heart surgery. We have a couple on the same topic here for love and blessings to Betty Kendrick and Rick Ullman as they're preparing for their move. And here is another candle from Betty and Rick. Saying goodbye isn't easy. My husband Rick and I are moving to Mount Pleasant, South Carolina to be near family, especially the grandchildren. UUTC has been my spiritual home for almost 15 years. Thank you for all the love and support through these years. You will be greatly missed. We look forward to returning for visits. Let's light a candle as well for things that haven't been shared, perhaps among those of us who are here and we just haven't heard it. Perhaps those who are online watching. Let the glow of these candles help us remember that in sharing our joys and sorrows together, we are in fact weaving the fabric of community. And may we keep our circles of conversation open to hearing at the right moment when it seems brave time to say so. What's going on in our lives? Thank you, Ian.
Our opening words are from Laura Lynn Bellamy. Dare we look into one other's eyes and discover they're a friend? Dare we lower our mask and confess our humanity is flawed and still profess compassion for one another? In whose spirit do we congregate? Or why do we bother to struggle and celebrate our common life? Perhaps it is in recognition of this truth that we sustain, no matter who we are or why, we all need a friend along the way. Come, let us worship together. Please rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn, number 347, Gather the Spirit.
we've got a really cool story by Ed Vare, who's got a lot of great books in the library. If you ever want to go looking for a good children's book, this one's How to Be a Lion. Let's see if this works here. Let's see. Next. Uh-oh, John. He's okay. Thank you. And would Rick, would you be kind enough to pick up the piece of paper he wanted from the floor? Yeah, thank you. How to Be a Lion. The world is full of ideas, big ones, small ones, good ones, bad ones. Some think this, others think that. Some say there's only one way to be a lion. They say lions are fierce. If they catch you, they will chomp you. Crunch, crunch, chomp. They say a lion can't be gentle. Well, they haven't met Leonard. Leonard loves to walk by himself, feeling the sun warm his back and the grass under his paws. And some days, no, there we go. Some days, Leonard walks to his thinking hill. Sometimes he thinks important thoughts, sometimes he daydreams, and somewhere in between he hums quietly and plays with words, putting them together. This way, then that way, making them into poems. And some say, wait. See, when it finally listens to me, it goes twice. Some say, wait, lions are not gentle. Lions do not write poems. And if a lion met a duck, bad luck for that duck. Crunch, crunch, chomp. But if Leonard met a duck, what do you think would happen? Hello, said Leonard. I'm Leonard. Hello, said the duck. I'm Marianne. I'm writing a poem, said Leonard, but I'm stuck. Will you help me? You're in luck, said Marianne. I'm a poetic duck. And together they played with Leonard's poem until the words came unstuck. Now, Leonard and Marianne found that they liked each other. Under the sun, in the long grass, they lay together, they played, they went for walks, and had long, meandering conversations, a mixture of quacks and quiet roars. At night, they watched for the shooting stars and made wishes if they saw them. Do you think the universe has edges? Quacked Marianne. If it doesn't, said Leonard, will we fall out? And together they are happy. They wish for nothing more than this. And some say that a lion should have chomped the duck by now. One day, a pack of fierce lions came prowling around. What's going on here, they growled. Why hasn't this duck been chomped? This duck is Marianne, said Leonard. She's my friend, and no one will chomp her. The fierce lions came closer. We heard you're gentle, and we heard that you make up poems. But not chomping a duck, you've gone too far. The fierce lions growled and roared. There's only one way to be a lion. Leonard, you must be fierce. Must I be fierce? Said Leonard. Must I change? They're wrong, quacked Marianne, and we'll show them why. Leonard and Marianne went to their thinking hill, and they thought hard, and after a while, Leonard hummed a serious hum. An idea started to form. Marianne quacked a serious quack, and the idea grew, and they put their words together like this, like that, building them into a poem, and that made sense of what they thought. And finally, they were ready. Leonard took a deep breath. I'll say this quietly. I needn't roar to be heard. I can be a friend to a bee or a bird. You said I must change. I must chomp, Marianne, but chomping your friend is a terrible plan. Let nobody say just one way is true. There are so many ways that you can be you. If there must be a must, then this we must try. Why don't you be you, and I will be I? Some say words can't change the world. Leonard says if they make you think, then maybe they can. Is there just one way to be a lion? I don't think so. Do you? Our offering each week brings in a little bit extra in our budget to help this congregation operate, be present to all of you and those who might come to us, to be here in this community, to open doors for community groups that use our spaces. We also have voted to include every month a special charity, a supportive group in our community, and this month it is El Centro. We hope that if you want to put something in for El Centro to support literacy, English language acquisition, and programs for the Hispanic American community around here, I hope you will put some little extra in that envelope. We will now gratefully receive the morning offering. Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Gypsy. Thank you. What is given in love, we receive with great joy. Somewhere, somehow, we find our ways into moments in which we feel the connection to something larger than ourselves. We may be swimming in the holy day after day, but if we don't take a moment now and then for our prayers and meditations, we may forget that. Would you please enter into a moment of prayer and meditation with me now? Spirit of love and life, we who are gathered here today, understand that in all the world there are many ways in which we as human beings have not lived up to our requirement to love our neighbors as ourselves. We pray for peace. We pray for peace with justice. We pray for peace with justice that comes through mercy and compassion. Spirit of love and life, we also know that individually there are folks going through tough times, folks who are here after having recovered from illnesses, folks who are struggling with physical ailments, people who are seeing ahead to surgeries, which may be tough. We have candles glowing here this morning, we know. For Mary Maxwell in Florida, for David Blackwell right here in Transylvania County, and to those who are unnamed. We have candles and our prayers lifted up for families that are having a tough time and need support. In particular, this morning, we say out loud the name of Tara McDonald and thinking of her and her family and their crises. We also know that this community is a loved and valued one for so many. For some who cannot be here with us here this morning, our prayers go out. For those who are here among us but soon to leave, may our prayers and our love follow on their journeys. In particular, this morning, we name Betty Kendrick and Rick Ullman. O Spirit of love and life, may we learn to walk gently in this world. May we know that the air we breathe is here for all of us. May our hearts, in their beating, harm no one. These and the prayers of our hearts, the meditations of our minds, we hold now in the silence. In the names of all those known and unknown, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind. We say amen. Blessed be. Thank you, Janice, in particular, for creating these videos, um, for her AV crew, always keeping me on track. What's coming when? Thank you. And the others in that creativity were Elaine Shaver and Carlene Reagan. The reading for today is Luke 6, 27 through 36. But to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. If someone slaps you on one cheek, turn the other also. If someone takes your coat, do not withhold your shirt from them. Give to everyone who asks you, and if anyone takes what belongs to you, do not demand it back. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is it to you? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who are good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners can do that. And if you lend to those from whom you expect repayment, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners, expecting to be repaid in full. But love your enemies, do good to them, and lend to them without expecting to get anything back. Then your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High, because God is kind to the ungrateful and wicked. Be merciful, just as your God is merciful. Our middle hymn today is also a biblical reading, sung out loud. I invite you to watch the screen and rise and sing together hymn number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Though I may speak with bravest fire, and have the gift to all inspire, and have not love, my words are vain, as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess, and striving so my love profess, but not begin by love within, the prophet soon turns strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control, our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed, by this we worship and are free. So the sermon today is basically on what you just heard, kind of like loving your enemies, but it's also on confronting your friends and loved ones. This is a result of sitting down with the auction winner. Those of you who don't know, we have an annual services auction. You can get bid on meals, you can do all sorts of things together, and one is I offer up, you tell me a topic you'd like me to preach on. Now, I don't preach your words, I preach my words, but you can tell me the topic and I'll wrestle with it and see how it comes out. Now, the auction winner is seated among us, and the auction winner can say, yeah, no, that's not what I wanted, Bob. Or the auction winner would say, yeah, I got my money's worth out of hearing that come out of your mouth. So we'll see. We'll see. We heard from Luke 6, and you will also hear from Jewish scriptures and Buddhist writings and some Native American wisdom as well on these. I say this because it really is something religiously, spiritually, that seems to be something that we need to hear about and work through. Loving our enemies, confronting our friends. Now, what does that mean? What's the hard thing about this? When you are in a moral dilemma and you are in a situation in which someone is perhaps being very aggressive, you've seen this before. Maybe you've shown up to monitor people in public office and you're sitting in and hearing things you don't like. Maybe you're sitting down to a picnic meal with family and you know who got invited once again. And they seem to be on all the wrong internet sources of what is reality in this world. And maybe you're just out and about and walking up and down the aisles of some store and you hear something said and you know other people have overheard it, what's said, and you need to make a confrontation. Moral dilemma. Do I really want to get into this with this person? Moral dilemma. If I don't say anything, will it just go away? Moral dilemma. I was taught to be nice. I think Reverend Bob would like me to be nice. Well, sometimes it may seem like I'm saying be nice. What is that thing about turn the other cheek? I've mentioned that phrase before in the Gospels, that it doesn't mean you turn the other cheek, then you turn it again, then you turn it again, then you turn it again, and you go about your life just being beat up and abused. That's not it. I think, as you know, I've had some experience going on Buddhist retreat many years ago, but I don't claim to be a Buddhist. I studied with a teacher very briefly and tried practicing Buddhism, and it failed miserably, even though my teacher said, well, even if you just got it for a split second, that was a success. Okay. The Dhammapada says, if for company you cannot find a wise and prudent friend who leads a good life, then, like a king who leaves behind a conquered kingdom, or like a lone elephant in the elephant forest, you should go on your own way alone. Better it is to live alone. There is no fellowship with a fool. Live alone and do no evil. Be carefree like an elephant in the elephant forest. And that's from the Dhammapada, 329, 330. You can get up and leave. All right. First thing in the moral dilemma. Can't take it. Not good for you. You can get up and leave. But I don't think the Buddha would say that as you're leaving and you're slamming the door, going out, you don't say, well, you're going to get a whole lot of dukkha from this. You're not trying to heap more suffering on a person. You're just trying to navigate your life in a way that allows you not to be around the people who are doing this. Now, having said that, I also want to challenge folks, because there's some situations in which flight is not the answer. Confrontation would be, assertiveness would be, speaking up. How do you handle it when somebody is so angry and heaping insults on you? And again, there's a Buddhist story on this. The story when the Buddha was traveling to a village and all the villagers gathered around, and that angered somebody, that everybody was gathering around Buddha. The man got so angry, shouted insulting things at the Buddha, but he just ignored this angry person and continued in what Buddha was doing. This angered the man even more, and eventually Buddha said, if you give a gift and the person does not accept the gift, to whom does that gift belong? And the man had to stop for a moment. So somebody's trying to offer you a gift, but you don't take it? Who has it? And the man said, the gift giver still has it. Buddha then likened this to anger, saying, if somebody gives you anger and the person that the angry person trying to give it to doesn't accept it, it still belongs to the person who gave it. And if you have that anger with you, what does it do? If you're the angry person, what does it do? It causes great suffering and begins to destroy you. So the moral of the story is, if someone treats you poorly, don't get angry at them. Instead, treat them with kindness, because kindness will not destroy you. In the Dhammapada, Buddha also said that hatred is not appeased by hatred in this world. By non-hatred alone is hatred appeased. This is the law eternal. So if someone gives you hate, loving them is how to stop their hate. Now, that doesn't mean you give them a big hug and a kiss. Okay? Buddha didn't say that. Buddha probably never said that. But Buddha has often said, it is for you to discern the difference between the open hand and the closed fist. And which one are you spending energy on? Okay? Now, to me, what that says is, when you're seeing somebody angry, you can confront them in a way that says, I'm going to treat you with kindness. I'm going to be something of a friend, kind to my enemy in this situation. And that person may not actually be your enemy, but they're sure acting like it right then. And if you accept their anger, it could destroy you, and in which case they are your enemy, because they have in some way convinced you to be destroyed. Or maybe what they're saying in their anger is destroying someone else within hearing. I know I have an experience back from, I remember in 6th grade, trying out the F word, the slur for gay people. 6th grader. I want to see if this works for me. Why not? 6th grade, 11, 12 years old. I'm going to figure out myself. And I started using that word. And I used it on a friend, and I thought my friend would say, "Stop it." But my friend didn't. My friend just looked kind of shy and hurt. But another kid standing nearby said, "That's not a nice word. I don't like hearing that word. I don't use that word." Now, he didn't say, "Bob, you're bad for using the word." But he said with I statements, I don't like that word. It's not a good word. I don't use that word. And by not returning an angry word with anger, he got me to think. And I said, "You're right." I said, "I'm sorry," to my other friend who seemed so hurt by those words, and said, "I'm never going to say that word again." And in fact, I have not. Well, okay, so maybe I said it, but it was for academic purposes. But I didn't take it on as a word that I was going to be using out in the world. Now, I hope that there are a lot of people in the world that would have figured out some time to think for a moment. That's not a nice word. I don't want to be hurling that word. Or maybe it's some other word or action. But you notice the difference of the confrontation. It wasn't ugliness matching ugliness. It was a respectful I statement. I don't like that word. It's not a good word. I don't use that word. Maybe even it said, I don't like to hear that word. But it was respectful enough of me in that position of being the aggressor to have me stop and think for a moment. Now, the lion story is so fantastical. How is that lion eating that it can go and write poems with a duck? Children's stories as allegories, lots of wisdom, but it's kind of like Ferdinand story, another classic of a big beast that is gentle. But I like the part about them deciding how they're going to express, I'm going to be me. I'm going to be me. So in this situation, that person said, I'm being me, and I'm going to say that hearing you, Bob, those are words and things I don't do. And I think it's wrong. And maybe this is one way in which you can stand up to the people who are bullying. Maybe you can think of the children's story and the lions who come around and say, there's only one way. You have to be vicious and mean. That's the one way. I know, children's story. There are lots of ways. But if we have to boil it down to something like that, I don't know. Leviticus says this, you shall not hate your brother in your heart. You shall surely reason frankly or rebuke your neighbor and not bear sin because of him. You shall not take vengeance nor bear any grudge against the children of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. And it ends with, I am the Lord. Thus saith. So from Leviticus, which is full of angry, nasty stuff and rules, out forever. I mean, you ever go to, I think it's CVS, you get your receipt, and it's like it goes on forever and ever. And Leviticus is like that forever and ever in the rules and all the rules and all of that. But this part, don't hate, don't hate, don't hate. Love your neighbor as yourself. That means you have to love yourself, because if you can't love yourself, how can you love your neighbor? But also, it is that challenge again. How can I do this? I'm going to be nice, I might not get this right. But if I'm going to be assertive and stand in a place of loving or compassion, as Buddhism would say, a place of compassion, then maybe I can overcome or get through this. Now, there's a joke, and maybe I've told you this before, and you can just laugh anyway. Jesus comes upon a situation in which there is a woman who's been accused of adultery, and the crowd is gathered round, and the rules of the Bible and everything says that she should be stoned. And so Jesus says, okay, let you who's without sin cast the first stone. And that's a way that most people hear that story and say, yeah, I guess we should not be. What's the modern equivalent? If you live in a glass house, don't throw stones. There's some sense of, yeah, if I start hurling stones at someone because I think they're the ones who deserve it, really, I haven't acknowledged humility in myself that I shouldn't do that. But in this joke, suddenly stones start flying from the back of the crowd towards this woman. And she's just like, who's doing this? And he stomps out to the back of the crowd, and he stands there looking at this other woman and says, Mom, stop it. I think the real thing out of that is, if you think you're Mary and you are completely holy, get help. All right. So throwing stones, not doing that. But that also means we have to stop people from throwing stones. I'm going to quote from Proverbs here. A stone is heavy and sand is weighty, but a fool's provocation is heavier than both. Better is open rebuke than hidden love. Ooh, what do you mean better is open rebuke than hidden love? And this is the second part of that. Love your enemies and confront your friends and loved ones. Because Proverbs 27:5 says, better to open rebuke than hidden love. And 6 goes on to say, faithful are the wounds from a friend. Profuse or deceitful are kisses of an enemy. So I looked up different translations of that. An open rebuke is better than hidden love, is one way of putting it. Wounds from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from an enemy. Or a friend wounding you by correction is faithful. And a friend who kisses without correction is an enemy. Interesting. Kind of like that playground example that I had from when I was in 6th grade. Somebody rebuked me, not starting to fight with me, but rebuked me. If you feel wounded by something spoken out loud, it somehow hits a piece of truth within you, and you kind of look at your friend and said, I thought you were my friend. Why would you hurt my feelings like this? Proverbs would say, the sweetness of a friend comes from their earnest counsel. But you're not being all honey and sweet with me. No, but the sweetness comes from earnest counsel. A corrective. Can you always get it to work? Proverbs goes on to say, no, it won't work all the time. For instance, a continual dripping on a rainy day and a quarrelsome spouse are alike. To restrain that quarrelsome person is to restrain the wind or to grasp oil in one's right hand. There's a certain extent in which you can rebuke someone, but if they are always in their very being quarrelsome, it may not actually have the corrective you want from it. Just Just know that. Just know that. It's like holding on to the oil in your right hand. Maybe you could do that when you are in an argument with somebody you love very much. You can just grab some olive oil and start pouring it into your hand, and they can start saying, "What are you doing, you idiot?" Because, of course, they're quarrelsome, so they'll put it that way. And you can say, "Oh, just seeing what I might say that would actually stick if I told you." Love you, hon, but let me pour some more oil through my fingers here. I don't know if it worked. But what they say as well in that Proverbs is, as in water reflects a face, so the heart of a person reflects the person. So in your heart, if you're trying to be confronting, both to friends, loving to enemies, and trying to say this is a better way of living, you yourself are reflecting in your heart spiritually. What path are you taking? You're taking a path in which you're trying to walk the walk, talk the talk. It's hard, and you have to do it with everything else. What was our middle hymn? Though I may speak with bravest fire, but have not love, I'm like a clanging cymbal or gong. You have to have everything together. What did I say in our prayers? That we have peace, but it must be peace with justice. Peace with justice that comes from compassion and mercy, not retribution. I mean, a really peaceful world would be one without any human beings left. And that's not justice. Well, how about just the people we don't like? If we got rid of them, we'd be at peace. No, you wouldn't. You'd find somebody new, because your heart had not reflected yet the paths to take to become the person you're supposed to be. There's a story in Native American wisdom, and I got this off of the Nottawasepi Huron band of the Potawatomi, which is a federally recognized tribal government of over 1,500 enrolled tribal members, and it's located at the Pine Creek Indian Reservation near Athens, Michigan, with additional offices in Grand Rapids, Michigan. They relate a story of the 7 grandfather teachings. Anybody hear the 7 grandfather teachings? So this is not my tradition. So I'm trying to bring into this conversation something that is not from my tradition, my experience, being led to be taught this, except that this forward-facing webpage is there for the good of others to understand one way of walking with all the balanced needs in what we do. As the story goes, a child was chosen to be taught by the 7 grandfathers to live a good life. This child was taught the lessons of love, respect, bravery, truth, honesty, humility, and wisdom. And before departing, the 7 grandfathers, they told the child, each of these teachings must be used with the rest. You cannot have wisdom without love. Respect, bravery, honesty, humility, and truth, all of them. You cannot be honest if you're only using one of the other teachings. To leave out one teaching would be to embracing the opposite of what that teaching means. So they talk about bravery, for example, on their website. Facing a problem with integrity is a true demonstration of bravery. That's kind of the challenge of these messages today. How do you love your enemy and confront your friends? Facing a problem with integrity is a true demonstration of bravery. We do what's right even when the consequences might be unpleasant. We face life with the courage to use our personal strength to face difficulties, stand tall through adversity, and make positive choices. We must stand up for our convictions and have courage in our thinking and speaking. All of these actions together will lead to ceaseless bravery. And then they talk about honesty too, second piece that I'll lift up here. Facing a situation is to be brave, but having the courage to not only do the right thing, but also saying it is honesty. You can have convictions, but if you're not saying out loud what your convictions are or what needs to be heard with love, honesty, humility, truth, what's the other method out there that some find in corporate retreats? The think method. Is it true? Is it helpful? You know, and you go through all these. Well, this is the seven grandfathers and those teachings. I say this out loud because sometimes to get there spiritually for us, to get out of the discussion, the dry discussion of ethics, of doing this, but to actually get into it, this is part of my growth. This is part of my walking the earth. This is part of me being my authentic self. If I get these seven teachings, or if I get what the Buddha was saying, or if I get what Proverbs or the other scriptures that I've been reading here are saying, this is part of what leads me to be fully human, fully holy in what I'm doing, fully humble that I can't be casting the first stone, fully aware in a situation in a way that takes us out of the original panic and into, this is my teaching. Which ones work for you will be for you to discover, I'm sure. But I bring these to you as a part of making a difference, with a hope, with the ability perhaps that we become the people that our stories and our cultures say we could be. How many of you are Harry Potter fans or know a child who's a Harry Potter fan? Know the stories in the first book, Harry Potter, or the first movie, whichever way you digested this for yourself or with your young loved ones. At the very end, Headmaster Dumbledore awards points. And the very last award and the most high award that puts this particular group ahead, the Gryffindor group, which Harry Potter, the hero of the story, is in Gryffindor. Dumbledore says to Neville Longbottom, somebody who's always being ignored, seems to forget what he needs to remember, may be tolerated in his friends' group. Dumbledore says, you get points for standing up to your friends because you knew it was right to do so. And for that, I award Gryffindor points. Because it does take a lot to stand up for what you believe in, even if you're confronting those who should be there to support you and not do a spell and make you paralyzed and fall on the floor, which they did to Neville when he stood up to them. May you find your way to do in this moral necessity what you need to do in a way that is spiritually deepening in your practice, in your path, and your respect for yourself and others. The world demands a lot. But if we get along better, maybe we'll be lighting fewer candles praying for peace. And maybe we'll be lighting candles of the joy in the which we see thriving in this world. I invite you to rise as you're willing and able, to sing as you're willing and able. Number 315, This Old World. This old world is full of sorrow, full of sickness, weakness, We're all children of one family. We're all brothers, sisters too. If you cherish one another, love and friendship comes to you. This old world can be a garden full of fragrance, full of grace. If we love our neighbors truly, we must meet them face to face. It is said now of thy neighbor, and we know well that is true. This the sum of human labor, true for me as well as you. Our fragile lights have been snuffed out, but not us. Not the demand that we still follow its light on our path. May blessings be with you. To be able to say, I can be me, you be you. To be able to say, there's more than one way. To be able to listen to the counsel of a friend even when it wounds. And the courage to speak up with love and humility in ways that help confront those who are having a hard time. May you go forth. If you bring any of this into the world, may you come back again to this place with joy and rejoice. Blessings on all.